What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here again, and woo, that was a lot quicker than what I thought. Hey, if it's your first time here, glad to have you. If you're a return viewer, thanks for coming back and thanks for watching. And if you haven't yet, consider subscribing. Now, we have to get into the XFL news because this is crazy. It came out a whole lot sooner than what I thought it would be. I thought I had about a week to get some content out to really get us ramped up and excited for what could be happening with the XFL. But The Rock and his people had some other plans. And let me tell you, I can smell what The Rock's been cooking, and it is good. Yeah, all kidding aside, all this stuff, I think that this was a real big shock to me. I didn't expect this. At first, it almost comes off as kind of gimmicky. However, I really do like it. Now, first off, I do want to say, I'm sorry, guys, I haven't got this video out sooner. I know a lot of you guys have been messaging me and telling me, hey, Tyler, can't wait to watch your video, can't wait to see your reaction, can't wait to see what you think of this. And I apologize. We had a doubleheader game tonight, and so I didn't get home till later. So now I'm going ahead and I'm doing my reaction, my thoughts, and all that. So I apologize for getting it out to you guys so late. But listen, this is awesome. This is exciting. And I love it. Not so much for all the other stuff, but the fact is the XFL is still alive. The XFL is still well and good, and it looks like it has a very, very bright future. And all of the naysayers out there, all of the people that had the XFL down and out and said that it was done, it was over with, that it was gone forever, and that, listen, I know that you guys weren't those. You guys were those who were out there with me, who kept the hope up, who kept the faith in the XFL and what the XFL had done and what the XFL's been building. And that is where we are at today, because the XFL has been bought by The Rock and his group of people, his team that he's put together, and they bought the XFL for $15 million. The only thing right now that is up in the air with that is that whether or not the bankruptcy court will allow the sale to go through. So pretty much what happened is before the actual auction started, The Rock and his company and his group, which comprises of him, his ex-wife, Dany Garcia, who is an excellent businesswoman in her own right. Do not think that she's the weak link here. I think that she's actually a real big asset to this team. And then RedBird Capital. And RedBird Capital, we'll talk about them here in a minute. I think that they're really, truly the glue that made this thing work. But $15 million, as long as that goes through, the XFL sale's going to look good. They came through, they kind of hit that buy it now button, came in and just swooped in and bought the XFL up. And I think that this is a great deal. I think it's a great thing. Let's start off with The Rock. The Rock is the kind of star power that you want here. He is not really a polarizing guy. He's a guy that everybody loves. He's an edgy guy. He's a guy that gets it. Right now, he is the hottest actor in Hollywood. I'm not just talking about, I'm just not throwing things out there. He literally is the hottest guy in Hollywood right now. The man can act. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to run a business. And that's where it really starts and where it ends. If you know anything about The Rock, you know that he is just a masterful businessman, and he has built this brand that has transcended, professional wrestling. A lot of times what happens is you got guys who are good professional wrestlers. That's great. And they have great careers. And then they branch out into some other things because they've gotten some fame, some notoriety from it. And then usually it kind of ends there. But The Rock kind of has gone a little further and become kind of bigger than life, this bigger than life kind of guy. And so I think that he is really the face that the XFL needs. And I think that it's fantastic. They needed a big face. They needed a big name that people knew. And people like The Rock. And The Rock is very much connected with a lot of people for however you want to look at it. Hollywood, the TV companies, he's still got a really good relationship with the WWE, who has a really big deal with Fox. I really feel like him and them buying the XFL, you're going to get Fox in this deal. I think that that's going to be good. And listen, this video, guys, is just going to be all over. This is my instant reactions video. Now, we're going to break things down in other videos, and I'm going to take little pieces, and we'll go through and we'll do some series why I think things will work and what things they need to do, this and that. But I'm just kind of giving you just a spitfire, just my excitement, what I think is good, what I think is cool, what I'm excited to see, and kind of move through there. I really see this as a good thing all the way around for the XFL. Now, let's go ahead and let's kind of look at his business partners in this. And you first have to start with Dany Garcia. Let's just go ahead and let's just give her dues. She is a smart businesswoman. She's produced a lot of content, a lot of things, and she understands, and she has been a big part of building The Rock into what The Rock is, and not only just building The Rock into what The Rock is, but also producing a lot of other TV content, movie content, and things of that nature. She's really, for The Rock to come on board, to not have her would just not be right. But let's talk about her as see, this is the cool thing about the XFL. All these other areas are toting and trying to, figure out this inclusiveness and being, progressive and all this and that. And you can take that for what it's worth. I'm not wanting to get into politics, but what I do want to say, and I do want to give her credit for it, she is the first female to own a professional league. That's a big deal. Like, to fully own a professional league, she's the first, woman to do that, and so I think that's it's exciting to see in that with it, and to see her in this position, it only feels right, and it's only right. Now, The Rock has made a lot of money, and I think he's worth somewhere between $300 to $400 million. I know that that's a lot of dollars in between there. I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but he's worth that himself. But bringing in a partner like RedBird Capital is huge here, and this is where I think this is really what made the sale go, and I think that this is what will really give the XFL legs. RedBird Capital, I spent some time looking into the RedBird Capital today and trying to figure out kind of in my downtime and things, trying to figure out kind of what they are and who they are and what they do. Pretty much, they're like an investment company. They come in, they partner with other companies, and they invest money. They partner with companies and try to help them out to build business strategies. They come in, they might be a financial backer for another company, but they work with these companies. They manage over $4 billion in assets. That's really what this company does, what they're doing. And so to have them, to have Cardinal, I think his name's, Jerry Cardinal, and have him on board with that. And he owns, he's the founder of this company. To have that type of money and to have that in there is huge. And to have all these ties with the RedBird, which is really cool. So RedBird, they've got ties with the Yes Network, which is MLB. And then they also have ties with the NFL and with the MLB. The NFL, they're part of the NFL creating experiences on location type of thing. They do kind of the same thing with the MLB, but the idea is all that stuff that happens around the Super Bowl and the Pro Bowl and all that stuff. They're the ones that coordinate, the on location experiences. That company that they manage, and that they partner with, manage, that they invest in, whatever it is. They're part of that. Another one that's really interesting to me, and this one will get you video game guys pretty excited, is they work also with a company called One Team, which is a company that really works with professional athletes, and it gets kind of the rights and, to use their likenesses and to use, them in games. They work with video game companies to get all that stuff set up and all that stuff. So that's like a really cool thing that they kind of have that built in. But as you can see, this company has legs that go way further than just the sports world. So the cool thing is yes, they have really big ties to the sports world, and yes, with the celebrity status of The Rock, that is huge. They just have really everything's kicking on all cylinders with this thing. I mean, you've got the star power that you need. You've got the masterminds behind it to build it up. You've got the company, with the financial backing and with the expertise and the experience to really take this and move it forward. The question now is all of this sets up great, all of this sets up nice, and I really do like this. I really, really like this, and it's a lot better than Disney or whatever. I thought that maybe it might be a Disney or a Fox buy, and I was really glad it wasn't, because Disney has, for me personally, bought a lot of properties of late, and they have just ruined them for me. So one of the things that I absolutely love, and one of the last few things that I did not want Disney to touch and ruin. Not only that, but I think that these guys can do a pretty good job of keeping politics out of the XFL. If you notice, The Rock and these groups, and they're not, now watch, he'll go out and do something different tomorrow. I don't know, but they've kind of shied away for really coming out with those political statements. And, and I really do like that he's a really, big motivational guy. And I love the speech that, that he gave, and the idea that, listen, I've built this stuff, and I'm going to take these calloused hands and what I've worked and done, and we're going to make something great. And he's a football guy. He loves football. And it's just really cool to see. So let's go ahead and now let's kind of transition into okay, they bought the XFL, what now? And this is kind of where I look at what the XFL is. So when you're buying the XFL, I think getting the XFL for $15 million was pretty cheap. And I know some of you guys are going to throw in, that $8.5 million to get around $23.5 million with the debt on top of that. But looking at the XFL, I think that that's a steal. I think that that's a really good buy for this league. I think that this league is going to do well. And the reason being is, and why it's such a attractive product, and why it looks like it's going to be really nice and really good for this group. I really want to give them like a name. I just don't want to say, The Rock and his people. I really want to give them a name. But when I look at the XFL, I look at a company that was expected to lose a whole lot more money than what they did. They actually were looking at really moving things and really doing things. As I look at it, they did great TV numbers. If you have been paying attention to MLB starting back up and the NBA starting back up, and you actually look at their numbers from their first week, the initial weeks. And here's the thing. People have been at home. They've been in quarantine. They haven't had sports for months. Remember, it's almost been over a year since we've had any type of baseball. We haven't had any baseball yet this season whatsoever. The NBA we had literally like months gap. Like a 4-month gap. Let's see here. April, May, June, July. Yeah, so we had a 4-month gap And so, they started everything back up here about a week ago. And if you look at their average ratings weren't better than week 1 of the XFL in 2020. That sure does say a lot about the XFL and what the XFL has and what the XFL has to offer. So all those people that were out there toting and, saying, oh, well, the XFL, people are getting bored of it, this and that and all this. You go look at the TV numbers and look at the NBA numbers and look at the MLB numbers and then compare it to what the XFL numbers were. Not to mention with other competition, because right now they don't have any other competition. They're the only game in town are MLB and basketball. And you look at the numbers. I think those XFL numbers stand pretty dang good on their own. So when you look at how well they did on TV and how well of a product that they put on the field, and when I look at what the XFL really has to offer here, the upsides are just great. They ran a great company. I think Jeffrey Pollock and everyone that was really in the headquarters. I think they've done a good job, and I think that they've done a good job of keeping the company in a good place to go forward. And so as I look at this, and I kind of change my thought process to what the XFL, what assets the XFL has to do things, and that way that I think it's got that great name. I think that, they had a really good start to things this season, and I think they're going to just have a really nice jump off to next year. Right now, we are in the month of August. I don't think we're getting any college football. We might get some NFL football with that, but I don't think we're going to be getting any college football. I think people are. It is highly likely that the next football that we might get is a 2021 bubble season for the XFL, meaning the XFL does that whole hub city thing again and does it kind of a TV deal type of thing. I don't know if that happens. That's still a long way off. And I know that we've kind of been in the situation we are, and it doesn't really look like there's really truly any end in sight anytime soon. But we still are a ways away from that, and I think that the landscape is going to change quite a bit. But the XFL has prepared itself, put itself together to where it looks very promising for them to have a 2021 season. Now, that though is really just contingent upon The Rock and all of them getting in there and really getting into it. And, just getting off to the races and getting this thing back up and running like day one and just moving forward, which I think they can. And I think that really just needs to start back with, I'm not RedBird Capital. I haven't made a whole bunch of people money. I'm not any of these guys. I haven't run any big successful business. Shoot, I tried running a YouTube channel and I couldn't even, keep that afloat. But looking at this, if I were them, I would. This might sound corny and silly to some people, but I would just restart it, bring everybody back, try to get the people back you can, and just continue to move forward, go back to operations like you had before. And I don't know when that starts or when you do that. If it's, after everything that's happening in this world slows down, things change, then you start it back up, bring everybody back. But I think you bring back everybody. And why not? They ran a very good company, and I'm talking about Oliver Luck too. I know that whole his whole lawsuit thing is kind of up in the air right now. If I were The Rock in his group, I would just pay him, the $23 million, say, we want you back. Come on back home. See this thing through. We want you back. Bring everybody back that you can bring back and just get that ball rolling again. Get that 2021 season stuff back rolling again and move it on, because I really do believe that the XFL they did it right. They had a really good product. Like I said, they were projecting and they were doing in 5 weeks, and with 5 weeks left in the season, they were ahead of where they thought they would be after the season was over. Things were that successful for them. Now, I think they need to do a couple of team moves and things like that. And like I said, we'll get into all of these details in another video, but the XFL, I really do feel like just bring it back. It wasn't a bad product. It was a very good product. You make some tweaks and some changes here down the road, but when it comes to the administration of things and setting up this business for success, I think they had the proper people in place and that they were handling it fairly well. I think that there's some things that they can do different now, and there were some teams and some stuff that I think that, making some shifts and some changes here and there, and we'll see what happens when The Rock and them bring in their own people. I don't know. They might come up with something that's better than what was out there. But the success that the XFL had, you cannot deny. And those that are denying it are really, and have denied it, are really people who have kept their heads stuck in the sand and don't want to hear it for one reason or another. And you've heard me rant and rave about that before. But the thing that we need to do now is that we need to continue to stick together as a community. We need to stick together. We need to continue to support the XFL. And listen, guys, the XFL's back. Go out and buy the merchandise. Go out and support it. Show your support so that we can get football back in 2021. And hopefully it is just football. We can get back to some football and, enjoy all of that stuff again. Because not only did the XFL give us good football, but it gave us some great storylines and some things to talk about and, some real drama. And The Rock himself, he knows drama. I mean, you look at his show Ballers. I mean, that's... a lot of what his show Ballers was about was what happens on the what happened in the XFL that we got to see on the sideline. So I hope, looks like that, he has the personality and the thing and the moxie and the backbone that he can stand up to all that and be okay with having all of that out there. And so I think that that's good. And too, having the show Ballers and them use that and kind of that fictional world that they created, but that's based on kind of real world, sports, sports football and professional football and things like that. I think that really help them out there too. So, I think that they'll still bring the drama. So even if the football on the field isn't good, which it was very good, in turn, I think you're still going to get the drama. We'll see the more and more that they kind of come out with, their press releases, their comments that they make, when they, dressing the public and things like that. We'll see. But right now, the statements that The Rock has made, the way that they've come out with this, it's been very exciting. I've been really pleasantly surprised with all of this. At first it was kind of an out of left field kind of a shock. And then when you start to break it down and look at it, it really does just kind of fall into place and kind of make sense. So this could be the perfect story, the perfect end to the XFL kind of story here. And the XFL goes off into the sunset and, who knows, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, people will be watching these documentaries on, the XFL and how the XFL, floundered when it first started, but ultimately survived. So, I don't know. Those are my thoughts, and I know I was a little bit long-winded and I was all over the place, but I wanted to give you my instant reactions on things. I'll definitely be covering more videos as we go with all this stuff. And again, I apologize for getting it out so late. I just had a lot to do today before I could sit down in front of the camera and kind of let it all spew out. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for being out here. Thanks for being around. And as always, you need to stay safe and keep up the hope. So have a good night. Bye.